This video is sponsored by my OnlyFans, where I do my meaningful sex educational content, fitness, health, nutrition, relationship advice, and more. Hi guys, and welcome to Geri Reviews and to this topic discussion about the Emperor of Mankind. And here we have Luton's recent video about this topic. Is the Emperor of Mankind, 40k, a god. Is he a false god, basically? Not a god, but a false god. And then, is he really malice? Because that is one of his theories that he discusses here, or just puts out there, seriously or not that seriously. So we are going to discuss exactly this now. I'm going to play some, not all, but some of the parts of the video, and we are going to go from there. I do not plan for this to be very long, so we're going to focus only on some parts. So you do have to have seen the video in order for me to, in order for you actually to understand what I'm talking about. So go ahead and do this, please. I put the link down below, the first thing that you can see, so you can go and see it if you haven't. But basically, he really goes into a lot of depth, well, as Luton always does, and I also go into a lot of depth in my own, topic discussions. So we're going to do what we're usually doing. And hi to everybody in the live chat. That's super awesome. 2 of my 3 Primarchs are here. And of course, one of my amazing Astartes. Chris, hi to you. Thanks for the feedback as well. And for those muscle, he's a god, that's what okay, hi to feedback as well. Eater of chickens, Dark. This is lovely. Hi to you guys. I mean, it's awesome to see ya. Okay, let's go to the topic at hand now, because as always, I like to keep these topic discussions and streams as tight as humanly possible. So guys, now I have here the video because I can see the timestamps this way. So we're going to play some, like I've said. Let's see.
Defined by how you came to be one. For example, Vulcan, Primarch of the Salamanders, is a perpetual, but he wasn't born through a natural process of just humans. Basically, he wasn't naturally created as a perpetual. He was artificially, genetically forged, as were all the Primarchs.
Okay, firstly, actually, let's go to the first part.
Talking about seriously ancient times here, maybe we should take it all with just a pinch of salt and consider it more myth and less literal. The shamans are spoken about collectively often as well, as if somehow across...
That is about the shamans and the theory that, the emperors created by a lot of shamans, by their sacrifice, which is still a theory. A lot of people quote it as like the real thing, the emperor's origins, his creation, but it's not actually set in stone. So there's that. And what do I think? Well, what's there? Yes, if something is not really set in stone and not anywhere is said, well, this is exactly how the emperor is created, because there's another theory that he might be also, one of, damn it, how this escaped me now, but yeah, he could be one other thing that is from the ancient creatures. Before everyone else. I really can't believe I forgot their names, but yeah, you probably know who I am talking about. But in any case, whatever he is, whatever his origins, that's not really that important, because it's important what he actually does and why he does it and who he is. All those things a lot more important. And now who he is, because he wasn't the creature, let's say, that he is before, that he is now, before when he, was born, started doing his things. Thousands upon thousands of years went by, before he became the emperor of mankind as we know him, and then, Horus heresy on the golden throne, and now he is going through a particular type of transformation in any case. So that with the shamans, we can skip that in general. Then he is talking about that part right here.
When the Golden Throne was first activated, we knew that it took immense psychic power to be able
Then about the webway, that those are two different things.
to control it. So much so that it would later destroy Malcador. And in its earliest phase, it only required 1,000 psychers, located under where the Emperor's vast development of technological research and development was built, along with the vaults, armories, etc., under the peaks of what were the ancient past known as the...
Basically some info about, how the Emperor operates, and the fact that he needs 1,000 freaking psychers every day, and the morality of things. Well, the morality obviously is not moral at all, and every good leader or someone that presents himself as a hero, if there's anything that they can do to protect whoever it is, they will do it. They will sacrifice themselves for the greater good, but that is not what the Emperor actually does in general. And that's a long topic because, I already covered the Emperor in terms of, his integrity, his real purposes, how he does things in general, how he is compared to chaos. So I already talked about that in length, hours upon hours, so I'm not going to talk about that, but I am going to, remind you of some of those things, so we can connect stuff. So basically, Aluden discusses, how the Emperor does things, and that is not good. And even his own people are questioning what he's doing. I mean, his methods in general, and he has an endless amount of track record in absolutely obliterating people for his own sake, and of course for the Imperium's sake. But then again, it seems like all of the actions, all of the history of the Emperor, all leads to his self-indulgence and his own will and whatever he thinks that it's right, and nobody else matters. It's just him and Malcador supporting him and all those things. And it is his will and Malcador's will, which is the Emperor's will. All of that is basically explained here in length.
But once you start thinking like that, it's where you really start going down into a rabbit hole of what ifs. So, moving on.
Yeah,
now,
we can talk about what ifs, like all day.
Next is something that I have noted before, but very, very far back on the channel, almost at the beginning of the 40k videos, in fact. I always disliked this shaman explanation, but I do admit it has more weight in the actual lore than this concept of the Emperor maybe being not a literal old one, but perhaps some kind of seed.
Yeah, that's what I meant, the old ones. That he could be either an old one or a Catan, actually. That's one of the other theories that are going around.
Laid down by them. Now, as I always say, it's important to be clear about evidence, and this one is very, very much just my own speculative headcanon. I like to imagine it's possible at least that some rogue old one, perhaps who was involved in the creation of a race such as the Eldar, had been living on a planet alone to escape the horrors of the war in heaven, and after a significant amount of time, decided that it needed to do one last thing to attempt to lay revenge upon both the Necron and the Eldar, for that matter, for not preventing their destruction. So I imagine this old one dabbled in the earliest awakenings of what would become mankind, perhaps that Neolithic time where the Emperor and Olp may have appeared from. The old ones had seeded Earth itself.
Okay, so I do think that we can all, as fans, go down to the rabbit hole when it comes to anything really, and the Emperor's origin, because at the end of the day, guys, it is... Jesus, my fluffy goatee. Fluffy doggy is changing his fur, so it's all over the place. So, we can all go to lengths of thinking, what is the origin of this or of that, when things are not clearly defined, and it's more than 30 years of lore, and the old things are canon and not canon at the same time, and everybody can decide what is canon these days, like, quite literal about some things. So, until things are not completely defined, I would say like, well, if GW wants to make them clear someday, that's gonna be fine. But until then, we can only speculate. Really, we can even say what's more logical, what's not. But in the end of the day, they can just come up with something that we haven't even thought about and completely do like checkmate on us in any case. So yeah, I mean, speculation is fun and all, but to me, the emperor is mostly supported what he actually is now, rather than before, which we're going to get to.
Long before, and so it has some idea already about how to manipulate us. After all, much like the Eldar, humanity is, for reasons that are not explained, moving toward a position of becoming psychic beings. And it was the Emperor's belief, as among perpetuals, that humanity will continue toward this trend of psychic evolution, maybe humanity emerging as a psychic race, and that this even was part of our original evolution, if they were in anything. But given
like another topic
that fact itself, strife, which is around M25 to M30, although very likely they did exist prior to this but were either not so powerful enough or avoided detection. So the beginnings of human culture. The Emperor, however, has been described as originating somewhere around 8000 BC, that's 10,000 BP, and we're talking very roughly because specifics are almost pointless here. What is interesting though is that if true, then the fact that Ol-P appears to have come into existence some 6,000 or 7,000 years prior to the Emperor, it's certainly suggestive that the Emperor is not the first perpetual. In some respects, this could also assist in adding a weight onto the scales of the shaman story.
Yeah, that is very interesting, guys. Okay, so let's go to the meat of things. Now, first meat of thing is he malice or malal? I personally don't think so. It's just that both Malal and the Emperor, they do operate in a different way, and it does seem that they have different goals. I mean, the Emperor's goal is really to have overwhelming power over everything, to save humanity, or a part of humanity that he deems that has to be saved, basically, because he is super okay of killing, you know, 1,000 people a day anyways, and whoever is standing in his way, and Xenos are all evil, and all of those things. I mean, I don't know what he would say if he knew that Gilliman is working with a particular Eldar in general. Or, I mean, he probably knows, but maybe he sees in his current state, out-of-body state, that is right because that Eldar helps. Who knows, guys? There's so many things. Like, imagine if you're a writer of something that is going for, well, some people's length of their whole lives, unfortunately, 30 years the span of time, and the writers that come, they have to somehow think about all of that to not break the lore somehow or not contradict something. So yeah, it's really insane to think about. So there's going to be some stuff that will contradict themselves in any case. But for that topic in particular, I just don't think he is that chaos god. That chaos god is there to just stir the pot. That's at least how it seems at the moment. This can always change, but I just don't see that much of a substantial logic, and in his logic as well, that he is malice. Okay, let's call him that.
Malice is and why it is and isn't a thing. So if you want to know the whole story about Malice, just go watch my video about Malice.
Yes,
I've linked it directly below this video in the video notes, and it's also linked at the end of this video. For those who are familiar already with Malice and the fact that despite what some naysayers might tell you, Malice is definitely a thing still in the 40k lore, books referencing it have been republished and video games featuring the Chaos Force Sons of Malice right to the present, so it's a thing. And just for the sake of saying it, as I've noted before, things not being spoken about in 40k doesn't mean that they're not a thing anymore. There is a big history in the lore of 40k where things do not get spoken about for like a decade and then they just come back again. But
yeah, that's for sure. So yeah, the way that the Emperor is acting, it just seems that he does not know all. I mean, there's of course speculations that he is. I mean, he was failing on purpose. That in fact he didn't make a lot of mistakes, but that was all on purpose. But it doesn't seem to be the case, because a lot of events and Primarchs and just a lot of things, guys, they turned out in so many specific ways that just point towards a huge ego and not very much yeah, well, for the emperor to be incompetent is not it's really hard not to, you know, call it that way. So it's more like it's pointing towards that. He has a huge ego. He thought that he can control everything, but he lost, and now he's trying to go back again and rule once more and be restored in some kind of a way. And he's using Gilliman for that. And who knows which of his sons are going to also be able to come back through him somehow, some way. So there's that. And of course, I'm always open to whatever GW comes up with about this in particular, and I do know that they can just come up with whatever it is to say that no, this was his plan all along, or yes, he's actually just another egomaniac, and the difference is, I mean, in warlord, the difference is that he just has too much power. Yeah, well, like I said, I went to a ton of thought and videos about this in detail, so not going to repeat myself, but yeah, let's go to the point of is he or is he not a false god?
To do so is presumed to then
Let's see what
bring
else
about
was relevant.
the total implosion and cause some unknowable large-scale incident within the warp to occur. Some speculate this merely would be a reset of a calm state for the warp, but of course it could be far worse. It could simply be the galaxy and beyond tearing itself apart. There's something far greater than the Great Rift.
Yeah, there's that, and also I doubt that the GW writers care that much or are going to go so deep like we do. I mean, always the fans are those that go a lot deeper in all of this and all types of lore, really. We do know that to be true by our own selves. Okay, so those are, you know, some of the things, and now I'm going to say what I want to say, and then I'm going to look at your comments, guys. Okay, so basically, guys, based on, well, everything that I just said, and if you watched the video and all that, is the Emperor a false god? Well, if you think that he's not a god to begin with. I mean, he didn't begin as a god. He began as a human being, being born and raised in the normal human ways, and all of a sudden he began to, you know, do things, kill his uncle, all of that, and eventually he created his Thunder Warriors, he conquered the Earth, he united the Earth, and that became, well, the Terra that we know today. So the point is, he was just another warlord with a huge vision, a will that he wanted to impose. He had a plan, he succeeded, he used all the technology that he could to create, you know, first the Thunder Warriors, then the Astartes. Malcador was right next to him, he helped him, you know, for the Emperor to become the Emperor. Then the Primarchs came, the plan for them, then, you know, Chaos decided to, you know, do this and spread them all over the universe. You know the story. The point is that by that point, and by through all of this time, he was not a god. He was just the most powerful human being ever. And in a lot of ways, he did not present himself as a human being. He did present himself as a god, like in that story with the priest, for instance. He did everything possible to present as a god, but then he wanted to, you know, convince the priest that he is just a man. Which is, once again, like a manipulation, contradiction, all those things. So it seems like he had a plan to present as a god, so maybe, you know, people can start worship him eventually, and that worship to create, you know, the potential for him to be a god eventually, because as we know from the last books, Godblight and the two before that, or I think that exact thing was in Godblight, this particular Eldar that Gilliman was speaking to said that when you are worshipped, you can become a god, and that's another kind of a god. So basically, there's a few kinds of gods. One that, those that are created by the people in some kind of a way, and they're dependent on the people's worship. Those that are not created by the people, and they do not depend on people's worship, and those that are elevated to a godhood eventually, through the thinking of the masses that this particular someone is a god, basically. I really have to drink something, because I'm talking all the time. And so, by that logic, the emperor could become a god eventually, and maybe he is very close to that at this particular point. But does that make him a false god, Well, I think that, right now, if people are thinking that he's a god, which they do, some people do think that he's a god, they are worshipping him as a god as well. He is a false god until he actually established himself in the lore as a full-fledged god. So until that happens, he is a false god, because we have not seen all of the possible proof that will point to that. We do not know how much he is powerful right now compared to the chaos gods as well. Even how much, how is he, what is his power compared to like Malice, for instance? We don't know like the capacity. We do know that he is extremely powerful to the point where he can bring Gilliman back from the dead right away, at least. He can restore his physical body and bring his soul back to the body and make him more powerful, empower the power sword, and kill a demon. Really kill them completely. So he is so powerful that he can do all of those things, and that of course leads me to believe that he can fight maybe one of the gods to some extent, but like completely kill them, I don't think so. He seems to be more powerful than a demon primarch, like that is 100% for sure, but he's not as powerful as a god, or at least not just yet. So if anyone worships him as a god, that would mean that they are worshipping a false god for now, and someone that wants to become a god in an artificial kind of a way, because let's say that is kind of a manipulation, so he can gain more power, so he can become a god. So that's kind of like a cheat almost, to become a god, let's say. That's a long topic, what's a cheat, what's not, but since it's a bit unprecedented in general as a process, we can say that he's cheating. He's cheating a bit or a lot, and he's doing it not with good ways, basically. He's doing it through a lot of evil things in general. You can say that bringing Gilliman back is a good thing, but he's doing it only because that serves his agenda, which is to rule, once again, completely and under his will, which is a selfish thing. And then we get to another rabbit hole of his character, what's moral, what's not, all those things that I already talked about. Now that it's complete, fully finished topic, there's always can be like extended upon, but for the purpose of this topic and to add to Luton's video and my response to it is that, yeah, definitely he is a false god at this current time, and maybe he's going to be a not false god when everything is said and done, if GW ever decide to actually finish this story arc, and not make us wait another 30 years or something. So it's all up to them really, and what they come up with to this point. But as we speak now, he is a false god, and he's definitely not Malice. I really don't think so. I mean, they can do whatever the heck they want, as far as I know. But at least now he's not Malice. So once again, at the current time, he's not also Malice. Now, I'm going to check your comments, guys, and see what you're saying, of course, and we're going to discuss from there. I have to scroll some, up and down, so hold on. We are going for 25 minutes, so yeah, I don't want to go for too long in general. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Okay. The physique. Oh yeah, well, the artist that did this is awesome. Luton is a heretic. Why though? Well, but that by that point, I, the Empress, am a heretic. But no, I'm just objective. If you don't question the powers that be, then you're just, well, not very intelligent in general. You always have to question things. That's actually the message of Dune. It's the freaking message of Dune, guys. That you have to question authority and their methods and their thinking and what they're trying to make you think in general. We can still call him God Emperor of mankind just because he has some godly, powers, but godly powers are just some powers. Well, he has actually a ton of those that are pretty much endless, but still, when you think about face-to-face confrontation with one of the chaos gods, it seems like a bit ridiculous that he's gonna survive that. So that's why, one of the reasons is why we cannot call him a full-fledged god. Not yet, not just yet. I'm saying in the current time. Oh, okay. Newman, not human. He's the new man. That's pretty cool, actually. I like that. Okay. So Rebecca says, I read the Outcast Death and the description of his eyes make his muscles look even more godly in its explanation of a species that the Emperor could be member of. Well, that is interesting. If you can find that quote, feel free to send it to me on the Golden Astartes Discord server, which is open for all. So there's that, or just in the comments here under the video when it's finished. What he's doing is keeping the imperium together. Without his throne, the imperium would break apart and turn into full-scale war, and figuring out a way to destroy chaos for good. Yes, but that is all because of his initial desire to have something to rule over. So if chaos destroys us, he will not have anything to rule over, and chaos is in his way. So of course he wants to destroy them and point them as a target for his soldiers, and just in general, make sure that they are the freaking enemy. And I mean, they are bad, but he's also not good. He proven like thousands of times that he's not good at all. He's just someone that wants to rule as bad as Chaos wants to dominate. I mean, he wants to dominate as Chaos. So yeah, you can say maybe lesser evil, but that is also something to, food for thought. A very long topic. And hi to Knobiland. Keep persevering. If that is towards me, thank you. Dark says he tried to get rid of them by not feeding them with belief, that's nearly creating a chaos god of disbelief. Well, I guess that didn't work. What is the book that describes this though? Survivor isn't peaceful road to take. It depends. I already point out some examples of how the Emperor could have done it, and still, have a lot more to work with nowadays, and he would not be on the golden throne. He would actually be actively ruling. So he did I mean, he could have gone into a better strategy and do things in a really good way and not in the evil way, but he didn't. He specifically chose to dominate with all the violent ways that he did chose to do that. So yeah, he can be a Catan. They can't use physical powers. Well, there's that. There's that then. Unless he found some kind of a way that GW thought about and we didn't, and we don't know this though. So there's that. As I said, they can always write anything there that is possible or not possible. So we should expect him to appear in about between 6 and 7 years in our future then. Oh, who knows about that? Who knows? I mean, GW can stretch this to the end of time. But let's see what's gonna happen now with the book that we are all waiting for. And that, of course, is the Horus Heresy book about Sanguinius. So that's gonna be, hopefully, opening a door to some more knowledge about the Emperor and Sanguinius himself and maybe his potential return, who knows. Eater of chickens. He bought a shard of the Void Dragon and imprisoned it. A Catan would have eaten that shard. Well, okay. I mean, she's really probably not a Catan anyways, you know. So there's that. Oh, yes, Rebecca, I have read the third Dark Imperium and the second and the first. Literally destroyed the Nurgle thing without even being there and literally spoke to Gully on the on and Mortarion. Yes, yes, and he did a lot more too. What if the Star Child is the reset button? Not really sure about that. Star Child is like the GW way of saying, oh, here's a backup plan if we forget how to do those things or write them. So yeah, Star Child, something like that. Okay, I think someone wrote something and I lost track of where I was, so hold on. Oh my gosh. Some Black Templar stuff that I also missed. Okay, hold on. Conan days? Wow. I think the comments got really confusing for me now. Biggie, I'm not a god, I'm just surrounded with these chaos gods, you mean? Well, he's not surrounded. He is dwelling in the warp and somehow managing to escape them, you know? Ah, I remember the Harley Quinn coming to Earth, laughed at chaos, but scared silly of Biggie. Ah, the Harley Quinns, you mean? Interesting. Well, if you are that close to Biggie, you would be. Yes. Yeah, I mean, the Harley Quinns, that's normal for them, I think. I think I went too far back. I don't have time to go too far back anyways. Oh yes, I did go too far back. Okay, hold on. Okay, found my way. Oh yes, dear Ivy, he has a ton. Which I also did a video about. Okay, Eater of Chicken says there are no gods, just powerful warp entities. Vicky was an insanely powerful psyker, now he's a warp entity, forced to sit at the same table and play the game. Well, also discuss that. I mean, technically, all the chaos gods are minor gods by a lot of measure. I mean, by a lot of things to measure them by. But because we don't see what is the higher gods in that universe, we consider them as gods, but they're actually more like higher demons in the ways that they're written, which I also explain why, and a lot of times, so I'm gonna repeat myself. And hi to Andre. You can always go and see my 40k playlist, and you will find all the biggie topics there, if you're interested. Okay, now going down. Strong emotions that concentrate and became entities. So there's that. To me, if he was real in real life and was sad to be a god, he's not a god if he can't make me a... Okay. If I read that, YouTube is going to censor me, I don't know. BC, aka the new Dark Shadow. Oh, you're still waiting for Halloween? Oh my gosh, still? Every time you're waiting for Halloween every year at the same time? Or... Well, Dark, I do hope that Vulcan is going to be, well, brought back. What to tell you? Okay. Only gods and physical aspects with these muscles. Well, real gods actually do not need any physical aspects to them unless there's something really special that we can't even fathom, and then they have to use some kind of a physical, let's say, body or aspects. But that's a very long topic. It could be that he has abilities we may consider godly, but in his own context, he is not a god in the omnipotent sense. Well, that is extremely correct, dear Ivy, thank you. But I can't really give a thought on this topic. Well, you actually did, and it's very good. You do know that the writers that write for DK, and in general, all writers have to know a lot of things that are outside most people's competence, so they can actually write a lot of fantasy and other stuff. I mean, if it's outside a lot of people's competence, it should not be outside of theirs. So those things are, you know, on point. There are some baselines for what a god is, and you know, demons and a lot of things. You know, the unmaterial and material. And all writers do use this for their stories, and they can twist them and turn them in different ways, but still the baselines are mostly kept. So by those baselines, we can also make some logical conclusions, or at least, you know, close guesses to what something or someone or some things could be. So there's that. Andre, I'm reading Children of Dune right now, and I love the series more and more. Frank Herbert was a genius. Well, bravo to you. And you will see, like I've said in Dune, that there are some ideas that, like, you know, look similar to 40k. That doesn't mean that 40k copied it, because in 40k a lot of things are just very different and very original by their own. It's just really an inspiration. But here in 40k you also have these that theme that you should not really trust whoever is ruling you blindly, and people still do this. I mean, not only in real life but in 40k as well. And when you see that some don't, they can make actually better decisions based on their own knowledge, personality, and you know, ways of common sense, even like Gilliman actually does a lot of times, especially these days, and he does well. Okay. Oh, you meant 6 or 7,000 years in our future, was meaning our place in their past. Well, you forgot 1,000. Well, okay, but you also could be right that in 6-7 years, our time, GW can actually write those things. Who knows? Yes, the dragon on Mars. Yes. Thanks, Geri, for the link. Jidaur is the god of the world Warhammer. Yeah, that's that's like the real god, Dark. That's correct. Thanks, dear Clayton, for the link as well. I like those aspects of men too much. Well, Rebecca, don't be sorry. I love those aspects. Looney Tunes talk, sorry. I love those aspects too. When I used to draw a lot before, I always drew all the characters that I thought of with huge muscular bodies, because that's just what I like as well. So yeah, and that is why, well, I do love to train, but that's not a thing. That is for my shape, but that's another, yeah, once again another topic for fitness and health, all those things. Yeah, no need to be sorry about talking about muscular man. I mean, it's always a great topic. Okay. Uh, Flex for Rebecca, yes. Yes, okay. Let's all flex then. And I'm going to flex just, to represent the flexing of women. Yeah, it's so cool. Andre, Andre, why don't you go to, if you like, to the Discord and like send me some of your drawings. I'd love to see that. As I said, welcome. And the Golden Start is this Discord server, guys. We do have a thread for art as well, so there's that. Yes, I just, yeah. I have a wisdom teeth coming again, and I kind of bit my tongue a few days ago, and it's still like, yeah, it's hard to speak from time to time. So there's that. Okay, guys. I'm just very happy that there's a girl in the comments as well, Rebecca, because there's almost no girls to be seen, and I'm like, well, I'm used to talking with the guys anyways, but it's just like it's cool to see a girl in general, and in 40k, when it comes to 40k, it's just nice. So guys, it is 11 already. Jesus. I can try to do a quick Warhammer 3 stream really quick, so if you want to join me for that, I'm going to try like in 20 minutes to continue the game and see where I was. I forgot what the heck you should be playing there, damn it. But I mean, let's continue it for a bit, see what happens. So if you want to join me for Warhammer, Total War Warhammer 3, that's gonna be in a bit. But for now, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like to support me, where OnlyFans, where I do all of my meaningful sex educational content, fitness, health, nutrition, relationship advice, and more, my own physique updates and my progress, and all the rest is Patreon and PayPal. With that being said, guys, love ya, and I hope that you enjoyed the topic. Visit Luton's channel and watch the full video if you wish to support him. Bye, guys, love ya.